إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله تعالى بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا فصلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته واهتدى بهديه إلى يوم الدين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل بدعة ضلالة. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, I begin as always by humbly requesting that you turn off these electronic devices, these cell phones and pagers have a tendency to ring, to sound the adhan at the most inappropriate times and disturb us during our ibadah. I also humbly request, as always, that you open your ears, your minds, and your hearts to what I'm about to say. Al-Bukhari and Muslim have collected the athar of Ibn Abbas and Umar and the accompanying hadith of Abdurrahman ibn Auf. And in that athar and hadith it mentions that Umar al-Khattab, he left al-Medina with some of the Muslims, including some of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with the intention of visiting Bilad al-Sham. And when you reached a place called Sarwad, some of Umara al-Ajnad, some of the commanders of the armies, وَمِنْهُمْ Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah wa ashabuh, Abu Ubaidah and some of his companions, they came out and met Umar and his party at Sarwad. And they informed him أن الوباء قد وقع بأرض الشام. They told him that a pandemic, an epidemic, a plague of some kind had broken out in the Sham. So Umar immediately he said, "Ud'u li al-muhajirin al-awwalin." He said, "Summon for me the earliest immigrants." He wanted to consult with them about what should be done. Something has to be done. I can't just shrug my shoulders and keep marching toward Bilad al-Sham. I have to respond to this. But I'm not sure. Even with all of his knowledge, he wasn't sure how to respond, and so he consulted. Al-Muhajirin and Awa'il. Wa alaykum as-salam. So he consulted them, فَاخْتَلَفُوا عَلَيْهِ. They differed about what to do. Some of them, they said, قد خرجت لأمر ولا نرى أن ترجع عنه. You came out for a purpose, Omar. And you shouldn't turn back without achieving that purpose. وقال بعضهم, and some of them they said, معك بقية الناس ومنهم أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا نرى أن تقدمه على هذا الوباء. And we don't consider it to be prudent for you to expose them to this plague. So because neither of their opinions was particularly more convincing than the other one, and neither was supported by a hadith or an ayah, Umar, he said, irtafi'u anhu. Go away from it. And he called al-Ansar. And he did the same thing. He consulted them. فَاخْتَلَفُوا عَلَيْهِ. And they differed just like the Muhajirin differed, and they took the same opinions. You should go forward. You came up for a reason. No, you shouldn't go forward because you're going to expose these people to this plague. فَقَالِ ارْتَفِعُوا عَنِّي وَدَعَى مَشْيَخَةِ قُرَيْشٍ من مهاجرة الفتح. So he said, bring me the elders from Quraysh, those who migrated after the conquest. فلم يختلف عليه منهم رجلان. And they didn't disagree. They said in one voice, لا نرى أن تقدموا على هذا الوباء. نرى أن ترجع بالناس. We think you should go back with the people. And you shouldn't take them and expose them to this plague. So Umar, he said to the people, I'm going to return to Al-Madinah and I expect that you will do the same. فقال أبو عبيدة أفرارا من قدر الله. وفي رواية قال أمن الموت نفر إنما نحن بقدر ولن يصيبنا إلا ما قد كتب الله لنا. Abu Ubaidah, he said, are you fleeing, O Umar, from Allah's decree? Are we running from death? We are in nothing but the midst of Allah's decree, and nothing is going to happen to us except what Allah has already written for us. فقال عمر لو غيرك قالها يا أبا عبيدة. He said, if somebody else had said this, Abu Ubaidah. Ash-Shurrah, the explainers, the commentators on the hadith, they said what Umar meant by saying that is that I didn't expect this from you. I expected better from you. I expected you to have a better understanding than this. And if someone else had said this, I would have punished him. And they also explained that Umar loved Abu Ubaidah and respected him and didn't like to oppose him. Didn't like to have an opinion that opposed the opinion of Abu Ubaidah. Thought highly of him. ثم قال نعم نفر من قدر الله إلى قدر الله. He said, yes, Abu Ubaidah. We flee from Allah's decree to Allah's decree. وعند ذلك جاء عبد الرحمن بن عوف وكان متغيبا في بعض حاجته. It was at that moment that Abdul Rahman ibn Auf came and joined the group, and he previously had not been with them because he was attending to some business he had to attend to. And he said, إِنَّ عِنْدِي فِي هَذَا عِلْمًا. He said, I got some knowledge about this. Meaning I have a hadith about this. إني سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إذا وقع بأرض إذا سمعت به بأرض فلا تقدموا عليه وإذا كنتم بأرض أو كان بأرض وأنتم بها فلا تخرجوا فرارا منه. He said, I heard the Messenger of Allah say, if you hear about a plague in a place that you don't live, then don't go to that place. And if the plague occurs in a place where you live, then do not leave that place fleeing from the plague. Brothers and sisters, most states in the U.S. are experiencing a substantial increase of community transmission of COVID-19. And that includes our state, the state of South Carolina. One of the leading health officials in the state recently stated that South Carolina is experiencing its second highest rate of daily new coronavirus cases, and that trend is sharply curving upward, meaning every day the cases increase, they don't decrease. And the number of patients hospitalized due to COVID-19 across the state has tripled in the last 3 weeks. The state is consistently reporting more than 1,000 cases each day. And the cases that are reported are usually significantly less than those that are actually occurring. And this past Wednesday, the State Health Department reported 1,680 newly confirmed cases. And all of this surge is fueled by the highly contagious and particularly nasty Delta variant of the disease. Now, brothers and sisters, I can go on quoting you statistics reported by health officials and media outlets, and you and I both know that these health officials and these outlets, they're not lying, they're not exaggerating. Because several people in our own community, including our imam, have been infected. The new wave, brothers and sisters, is real. And I would like to reflect with you about how we should respond to this reality in light of this athar of Umar and the accompanying hadith. First of all, brothers and sisters, in the beginning of the athar, when he's informed, radiallahu anhu, that there is a waba in Sham, he immediately says, "Ud'u li al-muhajirin al-awwal." Summon for me the earliest immigrants. What is that teaching us? Teaching us that these issues which affect the health and well-being, they threaten, I should say, the health and well-being of the community, these issues are supposed to be taken seriously. And they require a response. We can't just sit there and make tufu and 80, sit on our hands, shrug our shoulders, and we're just going to sit here and see what happens. Wait to see what happens. The Muslims are not supposed to be the people who are reactive, let alone the people who don't react at all. Requires a response. And we are supposed to actively seek religious guidance and consult the people of knowledge and wisdom in order to determine what is the appropriate response. Then, after he makes his decision, radiallahu anhu, Abu Ubaidah, he said, "Afiraran min qadrillah. Am al-mawt nafir." He said, are we running from the decree of Allah? Are we running from death? We're just in the midst of Allah's decree. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Nothing's going to afflict us except what Allah wills. Brothers and sisters, this highlights a common yet erroneous refrain. We hear this all the time. لَن يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا. Shake my hand, brother. Hug me, brother. Don't social distance from me, brother. Take off your mask, brother. Let's breathe on each other, brother. لَن يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا. We're not going to be affected except by anything, whatever Allah's already willed. Nothing's going to happen except Allah's will. If Allah wills for us to get sick and die, we're going to get sick and die anyway. This is the common refrain, and it is an erroneous, a grossly erroneous and mistaken understanding of the meaning of the concept of a tawakkul. Some people understand a tawakkul to mean that we should do nothing to bring about a desired result or to protect ourselves from an undesirable one. Let whatever happens, happen. Just let it happen. And we know, brothers and sisters, this is wrong because of how Umar responded. Lo khairuka, ya Abu Ubaidah. If somebody else had said this, ya Abu Ubaidah, we know that Umar, he was right because of his knowledge. He was right because he's the one that the Prophet said, if there were a prophet after me, it would be Umar. He was the one who he saw different people in his dream, all wearing garments of different lengths, and the garment of Umar was dragging the ground. And they said, Bima tufassiruhu ya Rasulullah. How do you explain that? He said, al-ilm, knowledge. And he said about Umar, in yuti'in nasa Abu Bakr wa Umar yarshudu. If the people obey Abu Bakr and Umar, they'll be guided. Why? Because of the knowledge, the wisdom of Umar. He said, look, no, if somebody else had said this, I expect more from you. That's not right. We also know, brothers and sisters, that this is wrong. This understanding of tawakkul is wrong because it contradicts an-nusus, contradicts the text. The texts tell us that we're not supposed to just sit back, expose ourselves to danger, and let whatever happens, happen. Contemplate, brothers and sisters, the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about salat al-khawf. The ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about how the believers are supposed to respond if they're in war, they fear for themselves, they fear the enemy. Allah tells them, don't not pray, you have to pray, but you also have to take your precautions. You can't just let whatever happens, happen. He said, فَلْتَقُمْ مِنْكُمْ طَائِفَةٌ. I'm sorry, he said, فَلْتَقُمْ طَائِفَةٌ مَعَكَ وَلْيَأْخُذُوا أَسْلِحَتَهُمْ فإذا سجدوا فليكونوا من ورائكم ولتأتي طائفة أخرى لم يصلوا فليصلوا معك وليأخذوا حذرهم وأسلحتهم. He said, let one party from amongst you then stand up to offer prayer with you, taking their weapons with them. When they finish their prostrations, let them take their position in the rear and let the other party, which has not yet prayed, come and offer prayer with you, taking every precaution and bearing arms. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling the believers, be careful. Take your precautions. Don't just let whatever happens, happens. Do your part to bring about the desirable result and prevent the undesirable result. Also in the hadith, a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, I have a sheep camel. Should I tie it up and put my trust in Allah? Or should I leave it untied and put my trust in Allah? The Prophet said, "Iqilha wa tawakkal." He said, tie it up, do your part to bring about the desired result, to prevent the undesirable result, and then put your trust in Allah. Also, brothers and sisters, we know this is wrong, this interpretation of tawakkul, that oh, just let whatever happens, happens. That's a tawakkul. That's not a tawakkul in Islam. We know it's wrong because we don't because we don't practice that in our own lives. We don't apply that in the dunya. Why are we applying in the deen? None of us goes to a lake for a swim, ties up his arms and legs, and jumps in the water, and then says, if I'm meant to drown, I'm going to drown. We don't do that. None of us needs to cross a highway, Cars going in both directions, 70 miles an hour. We have to cross this highway to get where we're going. None of us crosses that highway blindfolding himself and says, if I'm going to get hit, I'm going to get hit. We don't do that. And if there's a promotion at our job, in order to qualify for it, we have to apply. We don't say, I'm not going to apply. If it's meant for me, it's meant for me. No, we apply. So if we do this in the dunya, we have to do it in the deen. So Umar, he responds and he says, نعم نفر من قدر الله إلى قدر الله. He said, yes. We're running from Allah's decree to Allah's decree. Shows, brothers and sisters, no contradiction between taking precautions and trusting Allah, relying upon Allah, and believing Allah's decree. There's no contradiction. Don't think I become a disbeliever in Allah's decree if I wear a mask, if I social distance. I'm not putting my trust in Allah if I take these precautions. Brothers and sisters, the precautions are from Allah's decree. And it is our duty to take these precautions and to do our part to protect ourselves and then leave the results to Allah. The outcome to Allah, as Allah says, وَخُذُوا حِذْرَكُمْ, and take your precautions. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So at this moment, Abdurrahman ibn Auf comes and he says, I have some knowledge about this. I know a hadith about this. And he mentioned the hadith, and that teaches us, brothers and sisters, that this is what we're supposed to look to and follow in circumstances like these. When something like this happens, we're not the people who say, man, I don't know what to do. We know what to do. Our religion tells us what to do for everything. وَنَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ تِبْيَانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. And we reveal to you the book as a guidance in all matters. We have guidance in our religion for everything, including how to deal with Corona. So what we do is we look for these opinions which are backed by the texts and supported by the religious principles, al-qawaid al-shar'iyyah. So brothers and sisters, in closing, what do we do? What does our religion, what do these religious principles and texts tell us are the adab, the etiquettes of dealing with a pandemic or an epidemic or a plague? First of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells in the Quran, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. And this includes, because it's am, it's general, it includes the healthcare experts when the matter in question is related to public health. Allah expects us to listen to them, to follow their guidance, provided it doesn't contradict the guidance of the deen. Otherwise, there will be no point in commanding us to ask them if we are allowed to ignore what they tell us. What's the point of telling us, ask them, and then allowing us to ignore them? It would be pointless, and Allah does never commands to do something pointless. Allah also says in the Quran, وَخُذُوا حِذْرَكُمْ, and take your precautions, which means we're supposed to actively strive to avoid danger and harmful circumstances without neglecting or abandoning our religious obligations. Like we see in the ayah about Salatul Khawf. They're afraid. They might be attacked at any moment. Allah didn't say don't pray. He said pray, but take your precautions. Also we have the hadith collected by Ibn Majah, and Malik, and Muwatta, and Daraqutni, on the authority of Anas, in which the Prophet gives us this fundamental founding principle of Islam, la darar wa la dirar. Neither self-harm nor harm to others is permitted in Islam. And the Prophet said in the other hadith, la yuridu mumrid ala musih. Do not expose the infected to the healthy unaffected. What does that mean? It means we should not harm ourselves by exposing ourselves to infectious diseases, and we should not harm others by exposing them to infectious diseases. We know we're sick, but we come around people anyway. So if we are sick, we should seek treatment. As the Prophet said in the Hadith, Ya ayyuhan nas tadawu. He said, oh people, seek treatments for your illnesses. You're sick, get treated. And do not expose others to your sickness. And we should all, brothers and sisters, we should all wear face coverings. We're about 50-50 right now. I'm asking you, is it that big of a deal? Is it that hard? And we got face masks at the entrance. A sign that says, please wear a face mask. Please, courteously request it when you come for service. It's crowded here. A lot of people are breathing here. And we don't have an air filtration system. Which means if one of you, or a number of you, have COVID and no mask, what you breathe out gets sucked up by the unit and blown out in another part of the masjid. Just wear a mask. Just wear a mask for service. What you do outside is your business. But wear a mask for service. To protect ourselves from infection. And to protect others from being infected if we've been infected, but we don't realize it. And that can happen. And some people will say, oh, well, I've been vaccinated. Come on, man, read up on it. Vaccination doesn't keep you from getting it. Doesn't keep you from spreading it. And most recently, the CDC recommends that people, regardless of vaccination status, that they wear masks. And then you ask yourself, what's the point of the vaccine? Well, I'm asking the same question, and we can have a talk about that on a different day. But at any rate, I'm asking, I'm begging, come. But when you come, wear a mask. You don't even have to bring one. We got them. We got them in bulk. Just wear a mask. And that goes in line with the next hadith I want to mention, where the Prophet said, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحبه لنفسه. None of you truly believes till he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. Which means be considerate of others. Some people, I don't want to wear a mask. I don't even believe in that. I don't believe in it. I don't want to do it. It's uncomfortable. I'm asking you, please be comfortable being uncomfortable for others. Because our deen isn't about me. It's a deen about we. You don't want to do it for yourself, do it for the man next to you, who might have some type of illness that if he gets sick, he won't make it. Last but not least, finally, brothers and sisters, I want to say, this is not the time to abandon faith or to abandon the masjid, the home of faith. We as a community need to continue to give life to the masjid by coming for prayers, coming for programs. And I understand that some people, they lack confidence in the sanitation protocols. Are they really keeping the masjid clean? Are they really keeping it safe by keeping the masjid sanitized? They may be concerned about their own safety and that of their families, and those concerns are justified. So just like we need to commit the community to coming to the masjid, I call upon the leadership, the shura of the masjid, to commit to taking this pandemic, this new wave of the pandemic, seriously. To meeting about this topic, and taking the steps that will restore confidence. Doing what they have to do, not just meeting and talking about it and leaving the meeting without a plan, but planning a course that will make us all feel safe, restore confidence, and keep us coming to the mosque. This is a mutual initiative. This is something that we have to do together. The leadership and the led. We have to keep coming, supporting the mosque, and the mosque has to support us by making us feel safe. اللهم اعز الاسلام والمسلمين وذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر اعداءك اعداء المله والدين وانصر عبادك الموحدين يا رب العالمين. اللهم من أرادنا أو أراد ديننا أو إخوان المسلمين في أي مكان بسوء فأشغله في نفسه واجعل كيده في نحره واجعل تدبيره تدميرا عليه يا قوي يا عزيز. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من سيء الأسقام. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من سيء الأسقام. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من سيء الأسقام. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من كل شر. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من كل شر. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من شر كورونا. آمين آمين يا رب العالمين. وقوموا إلى صلاتكم.